The morning sun filtered through the curtains of the modest London apartment where William Henderson sat at his kitchen table, scrolling through his phone with his usual cup of black coffee. At 35, he had built a comfortable life as a marketing executive, sharing his days with Kate, his wife of 7 years. Their relationship had weathered the typical storms of marriage, emerging stronger each time. Or so he believed. William's phone buzzed with a notification from an unknown number. The message contained no words, just 3 photographs that made his blood run cold. His hands trembled as he stared at the images on the screen. They showed him at a company conference 6 months ago in Manchester, but these weren't the professional headshots he remembered. These pictures captured moments he thought had vanished into the night, moments that should never have been documented. The first photograph showed him in the hotel bar, his arm around a woman who wasn't Kate. Sarah Mitchell, a colleague from the Birmingham office, leaned into him with an intimacy that went beyond professional courtesy. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m., long after the official conference activities had ended. William remembered that night with a mixture of regret and denial. Too much wine, too much laughter, too many shared complaints about their respective relationships. The second image was worse. It captured them in the hotel corridor, Sarah's hand on his chest, his fingers tangled in her dark hair. The angle suggested someone had been following them, waiting for the right moment. William's stomach churned as he recalled stumbling down that hallway, convincing himself that nothing had really happened, that a kiss meant nothing in the grand scheme of his marriage. The third photograph destroyed any illusion of innocence. Though partially obscured by shadows, it clearly showed 2 figures entering a hotel room together. Room 412. He remembered the number because it had haunted him for months. The door closing behind them marked a line he had sworn he would never cross, a betrayal he had spent half a year trying to forget. William's coffee grew cold as he sat frozen, his mind racing through the implications. Who had taken these photos? Why send them now? His first instinct was to delete them, to pretend they had never arrived. But he knew that whoever sent them likely had copies, perhaps more incriminating evidence of that night's mistakes. Kate's voice from upstairs shattered his paralysis. She was getting ready for her shift at the hospital where she worked as a pediatric nurse. Her dedication to helping sick children was one of the qualities that had first attracted him to her. How could he have risked losing someone so genuinely good? "Have you seen my blue scrubs?" she called down. Her voice carried the easy familiarity of 1,000 ordinary mornings, unaware that their life was about to implode. "Check the dryer," William managed to respond, surprised at how normal his voice sounded when his world was crumbling. He heard her footsteps moving toward the laundry room. Each sound felt like a countdown to disaster. His phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. "She deserves to know the truth. You have 24 hours to tell her, or I will." The ultimatum sent ice through his veins. 24 hours to destroy his own marriage or have someone else do it for him. William's hands shook as he screenshot the messages and photos, then deleted them from the main thread. He needed time to think, to figure out who was behind this and what they wanted. His mind cycled through possibilities. Could it be Sarah? They had agreed that night was a mistake, never to be mentioned again. She had seemed as eager as he was to pretend it never happened, worried about her own engagement. But people changed their minds, especially when relationships soured. Had her wedding been called off? Was she looking for revenge? Or perhaps it was someone from the conference, a colleague who had noticed their flirtation and decided to document it. Corporate espionage wasn't uncommon in their industry, and personal scandals made excellent leverage. William tried to remember who else had been at the bar that night, but the alcohol had blurred the edges of his memory. Kate appeared in the kitchen doorway, wearing the blue scrubs she had found. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and she wore the minimal makeup that highlighted her natural beauty. She moved to pour herself coffee, planting a kiss on his cheek as she passed. The gesture, so routine and trusting, felt like a knife twisting in his chest. "You okay?" she asked, noticing his pallor. "You look like you've seen a ghost." If only it were that simple, William thought. A ghost would be easier to explain than photographic evidence of his infidelity. "Just work stuff," he lied. "Big presentation this week." Kate's green eyes studied him with the intuition that came from years of reading patients' hidden pain. You know you can talk to me about anything, right? That's what we promised each other. The irony of her words wasn't lost on him. They had indeed promised total honesty, among other vows he had broken in that Manchester hotel room. William forced a smile. I know. It's nothing I can't handle. She didn't look convinced, but didn't push. That was Kate's way, respecting boundaries while maintaining open doors. It was one of many qualities he was about to lose. About a long shift today, she said, checking her watch. Probably won't be home until late. There's leftover pasta in the fridge if you don't feel like cooking. William watched her gather her things, each movement potentially the last time he would see it. The way she tucked a stray hair behind her ear, how she double-checked her pockets for her hospital ID, the little dance she did while putting on her shoes. 6 months ago, he had taken all of this for granted. Now, with destruction looming, every gesture felt precious and irreplaceable. I love you, Kate said at the door, the words as natural as breathing. I love you too, William replied, meaning it more than ever while knowing it might not be enough. After she left, the house felt tomb-like in its silence. William called in sick to work, unable to imagine sitting through meetings while his marriage hung by a thread. He spent the morning staring at the photographs, analyzing every detail for clues about their origin. The angles suggested someone with photography skills, not just random phone snapshots. The lighting was too good, the framing too deliberate. This wasn't a crime of opportunity, but a planned surveillance. But why wait 6 months to use them? Would it trigger this now? William's laptop beckoned from his home office. He could search for Sarah, see what she had been up to lately. Social media might provide clues about her state of mind or recent activities. But as he opened Facebook, he hesitated. What if she could see that he had viewed her profile? What if that triggered something worse? Instead, he scrolled through his own timeline, looking at the life he had built with Kate. Their trip to Greece last summer, where they had renewed their commitment to each other on a sunset beach. The surprise party Kate had thrown for his birthday, gathering friends he hadn't seen in years. The adoption fair they had attended last month. Finally, ready to start the family they had postponed for careers. Each photo felt like evidence in a case against him. Here was everything he stood to lose because of one night's weakness. The rational part of his brain tried to minimize what had happened. Lots of marriages survived infidelity. People made mistakes. What mattered was the commitment to do better. But the photographs made minimization impossible. They were stark proof that he had made a series of choices, each one leading further from his vows. The wine at dinner had been a choice. Suggesting drinks at the bar had been a choice. Not leaving when Sarah's hand found his had been a choice. Everything that followed had been a choice. His phone rang, jolting him from his spiral. The caller ID showed his brother James. William let it go to voicemail, unable to maintain normal conversation. Within seconds, a text appeared. Saw you called in sick. Everything okay? William stared at the message. James worked in IT, constantly connected to networks and systems. A wild thought crossed his mind. Could his brother help trace the source of the photographs? But that would mean confessing everything, and James had always adored Kate. He had been the best man at their wedding. His speech about finding your soulmate still quoted at family gatherings. The morning dissolved into afternoon as William remained paralyzed by indecision. He drafted a dozen different confessions to Kate, deleting each one. How did you tell the person you loved most that you had betrayed them? How did you explain that a lifetime of loyalty had been shattered by a few hours of selfishness? His phone provided an unwelcome countdown. 18 hours remaining. 17. 16. Each passing hour felt like sand through an hourglass, measuring out the final moments of his marriage as he knew it. William understood that confession was his only real option. The blackmailer, whoever they were, held all the cards. Even if he could somehow prevent them from sending the photos to Kate, the threat would always hang over him. The truth would come out eventually, and the delay would only compound his betrayal. But understanding and acting were different things. William found himself bargaining with reality, looking for escape routes that didn't exist. Maybe the person would change their mind. Maybe it was all a bluff. Maybe the photos weren't as damning as they seemed. The human capacity for self-deception seemed limitless when faced with the consequences of our actions. As afternoon faded to evening, William made a decision. He would tell Kate everything when she got home. He would throw himself on her mercy, admit his mistakes, and pray that 7 years of marriage counted for something. He would suggest counseling, make any promise she needed to hear, do whatever it took to salvage what he had so carelessly risked. He spent the remaining hours preparing. He cleaned the house, wanting the setting for his confession to be perfect, as if orderly surroundings could somehow soften the blow. He ordered dinner from Kate's favorite restaurant, then canceled it, realizing she wouldn't have an appetite after his revelation. He wrote out what he wanted to say, key points that might help her understand without excusing his actions. By the time Kate's car pulled into the driveway at 9 p.m., William had worked himself into a state of near panic. His rehearsed words disappeared as he heard her key in the lock. She entered looking exhausted, the emotional toll of working with sick children evident in her posture. "Long day?" William asked, his voice cracking slightly. "The longest," Kate replied, dropping her bag by the door. "We lost a patient today. 6 years old. Cancer." The weight of her words hit William like a physical blow. Here she was, dealing with real tragedy, while he had created an entirely avoidable one. The contrast between her daily nobility and his selfish weakness had never been starker. Kate collapsed onto the couch, closing her eyes. "I just need a few minutes to decompress. Today was rough." William sat beside her, his confession trapped behind his teeth. How could he add to her burden now? But the clock kept ticking. 12 hours. 11. The photos waited on his phone like ticking bombs. "Kate," he began, but she had already dozed off, the exhaustion of her shift claiming her. William watched her sleep, memorizing the peaceful expression that would soon be replaced by hurt and anger. He covered her with a blanket and retreated to the kitchen. 10 hours. 9. 8. The night stretched endlessly as William wrestled with timing. Should he wake her? Wait until morning? Let her rest? And face the consequences when the deadline passed? Each option felt wrong, but inaction was a choice too. He returned to his laptop, desperate for distraction. His email contained the usual work messages, which he ignored. But one subject line caught his eye: Manchester Conference, photo gallery now available. William's heart stopped. He clicked the link with trembling fingers, leading to a corporate website hosting official conference photos. He scrolled through hundreds of images, searching for clues. There he was in various professional settings, giving his presentation, networking at approved events. Everything looked normal, respectable, appropriate. But then he found it. A group photo at the welcome reception, all attendees gathered in the hotel lobby. He zoomed in, scanning faces. In the back row, partially hidden behind taller colleagues, was a face he recognized but couldn't immediately place. Someone from another company, perhaps, or a vendor they worked with. The memory danced just out of reach. William cross-referenced the attendee list, matching faces to names. Finally, he found him. Marcus Chun, a photographer hired to document the conference. The realization hit like cold water. Marcus would have had access to all areas of the hotel, professional equipment, and a reason to be taking photos at odd hours. But why would a conference photographer turn blackmailer? William searched for Marcus online, finding a sparse LinkedIn profile and a few photography credits. Nothing suggested a motive for destroying William's marriage, unless someone had hired him to do exactly that. The conspiracy theory felt paranoid, but William couldn't shake it. Someone wanted to hurt him or Kate, using his mistakes as a weapon. But who? And why now? 7 hours. 6. 5. Dawn approached with inevitable certainty. William had spent the night chasing ghosts instead of preparing for the real specter haunting his marriage. Kate still slept on the couch, occasionally murmuring in her sleep. Even unconscious, she showed signs of the stress he was about to multiply exponentially. He made coffee as the first light touched the windows, the routine action a small comfort in the chaos. The morning news played softly on the kitchen TV, stories of political scandals and corporate malfeasance that would have seemed important yesterday. Now, they were just background noise to his personal catastrophe. For hours. 3. Kate stirred on the couch, stretching like a cat waking from a nap. She appeared in the kitchen doorway, blanket wrapped around her shoulders. "Did I sleep here all night?" she asked, confused. "You were exhausted," William said. "I didn't want to wake you." Kate moved to him, slipping her arms around his waist. "Thank you for taking care of me. I'm sorry I was such bad company last night." The embrace nearly broke William's resolve to wait. Here she was, apologizing for being human while he harbored evidence of actual betrayal. But the words wouldn't come. His throat closed around the confession, choking it back. "I'm calling in today," Kate announced. "Mental health day. Maybe we can do something together? It's been ages since we had a proper date day." The irony was excruciating. She wanted to spend time with him just as he was about to lose her forever. William nodded, unable to trust his voice. 2 hours. 1 hour. The deadline approached with terrifying speed. William's phone had remained silent since yesterday's threat, offering no reprieve or negotiation. Whoever was behind this meant business. Kate showered and changed while William stared at his phone, willing it to provide answers. He considered preemptive confession one more time, but couldn't form the words. The weight of his secret pressed down like a physical force, crushing the air from his lungs. Finally, as the deadline minute arrived, William's phone buzzed. But it wasn't another threat. It was a simple notification that his phone storage was full. He checked the unknown numbers thread, only to find it completely empty. The messages and photos had vanished as if they never existed. Confusion mixed with relief and renewed terror. Had he imagined it all? Was this some stress-induced breakdown? William checked his screenshots, but they were gone too. Every trace of the blackmail had been erased. "Ready for our day?" Kate asked, appearing fresh and happy, oblivious to the sword that had been hanging over their heads. William nodded, his mind reeling. What game was someone playing? As they left the house together, he couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. The photos existed somewhere in someone's hands. The threat remained, even if the evidence had temporarily vanished. Throughout their day together, visiting museums and sharing lunch at their favorite cafe, William found himself scanning crowds for Marcus Chun or Sarah Mitchell. Every notification made his heart race. Every unknown face seemed potentially threatening. Kate noticed his distraction, but attributed it to work stress. She held his hand tighter, suggested they both take a proper vacation, maybe return to Greece. Her solutions to problems she didn't know existed made William feel simultaneously grateful and guilty. As evening approached, they returned home to find a package on their doorstep. No return address, no delivery markings. Just a plain brown envelope with William's name written in careful script. "What's that?" Kate asked as William picked it up with trembling hands. Inside was a single photo, different from the ones yesterday. This one showed William and Kate at their wedding, radiant with joy and promise. On the back, someone had written, "Remember what matters. Second chances don't come often." Kate peered over his shoulder, smiling at the memory. "Oh, that's lovely. Who sent it?" William studied the handwriting, finding it unfamiliar. The message could be a threat or a reprieve. Was someone giving him a chance to come clean on his own terms? Or was this just the beginning of a longer torture? "I don't know," he answered honestly, the first truthful thing he had said in days. As Kate went inside, chattering about displaying the photo, William remained on the doorstep, staring at the image of their younger selves. Those two people had believed in forever, in honesty, in the sanctity of their bond. One of them had kept those beliefs. The other stood here now, holding photographic evidence of promises kept while harboring secrets that could destroy everything. The game had changed, but it wasn't over. Someone knew what William had done, and they were controlling the timeline of revelation. He could confess now, taking control of the narrative. Or he could wait, hoping whoever sent this truly believed in second chances. As the door closed behind him, sealing him back into the life he had risked, William made a choice. He would tell Kate everything, but not today. Not when she was happy and healed from yesterday's trauma. He would find the right moment, the right words, the right way to break her heart while trying to save their marriage. The wedding photo found a place on their mantel, a reminder of vows made and broken. William looked at it throughout the evening, seeing both an accusation and a possibility. Someone had given him time. The question was whether he would use it wisely or waste another chance at redemption. Night fell on their household, peaceful on the surface, but containing secrets that would eventually demand their due. The photos might have disappeared, but their truth remained, waiting to surface when least expected. William had survived the first wave, but he knew the storm was far from over. The weeks following the mysterious package settled into an uneasy routine. William found himself living two lives. The attentive husband Kate knew, and the paranoid man constantly checking over his shoulder. Every unknown number made his heart race. Every unexpected email could be the bomb that destroyed his world. But nothing came. The silence was almost worse than threats. Kate noticed his jumpiness, but attributed it to work pressure. She suggested yoga, meditation, even therapy for stress management. William agreed to everything, desperate to appear normal while his secret ate away at him like acid. He attended yoga classes, sitting in child's pose while his mind raced through scenarios of discovery. He downloaded meditation apps, listening to soothing voices while anxiety clawed at his chest. The therapy suggestion terrified him most. How could he sit in a room with a stranger and talk around the massive truth that dominated his every waking moment? But refusing would raise more questions, so William found himself in Dr. Patricia Morse's office on a Thursday afternoon, inventing work-related stressors to explain his obvious distress. "You seem to be carrying a heavy burden," Dr. Morse observed during their third session. She was older, with kind eyes that seemed to see through his carefully constructed facades. "Sometimes the things we don't say weigh more than the things we do." William shifted in his chair, the leather creaking under his discomfort. "It's just the pressure of modern life," he deflected. "Everyone feels overwhelmed sometimes." "That's true," Dr. Morse agreed. "But not everyone looks like they're waiting for an axe to fall." The accuracy of her observation sent chills down William's spine. He made excuses about a difficult merger at work, spinning elaborate lies about corporate politics and job insecurity. Dr. Morse took notes, occasionally asking questions that seemed designed to pierce his deceptions. But William had become an expert at evasion, dancing around the truth with increasing skill. Meanwhile, life with Kate continued its surface normalcy. She had started talking more seriously about adoption, bringing home pamphlets from agencies and showing him websites of waiting children. Her eyes lit up when she described their future family, unaware she was planning a life with a man who had already betrayed their foundation. "I think we're ready," she said one evening, curled against him on the couch. "We've built something strong enough to share." William held her tighter, wondering if their marriage was strong enough to survive the truth. He had researched statistics on infidelity, finding conflicting data about recovery rates. Some sources claimed most marriages could survive with proper counseling. Others painted bleaker pictures of permanent trust damage. None of them factored in mysterious blackmailers and disappearing evidence. Sarah Mitchell had vanished from his professional sphere. Her LinkedIn showed a new job in Scotland, far from their shared industry circles. William had crafted careful searches to track her movements without leaving digital footprints, learning she had indeed married her fiancé and seemed to be building a new life. The geographical distance offered some comfort, but secrets had a way of traveling in the modern world. 3 months after the photos arrived, William had almost convinced himself it was over. Maybe someone had simply wanted to scare him straight, to remind him of his vows without actually destroying his marriage. He began sleeping better, the constant vigilance slowly relaxing into watchfulness. Then, Kate's sister Emma came to visit. Emma was everything Kate wasn't. Dramatic where Kate was steady, suspicious where Kate was trusting, confrontational where Kate sought harmony. She had never quite approved of William, viewing him through the protective lens of an older sister who remembered Kate's heartbreaks before they met. "You look different," Emma announced within minutes of arriving, studying William with unsettling intensity. "Something's changed." "Just getting older," William replied, helping with her luggage. "Happens to all of us." Emma's sharp laugh suggested she wasn't buying it. Throughout her week-long visit, she watched their interactions with the focus of a detective. Every gesture William made toward Kate was scrutinized. Every word was weighed for hidden meaning. "He's being weird," William overheard Emma telling Kate one night. They thought he was asleep, but anxiety had made him a light sleeper, alert to every sound that might herald disaster. "He's been stressed about work," Kate defended him. "There's a lot of pressure with the new contracts." "Maybe," Emma said, doubt coloring the word. "Or maybe it's something else. You know, men are good at hiding things." William lay rigid in bed, wondering if Emma knew something or was just naturally suspicious. Her presence in their home felt like having a bomb-sniffing dog when you knew explosives were hidden somewhere. She couldn't see the secret, but she could sense its existence. The visit stretched interminably. Emma suggested activities that seemed designed to test him. A wine tasting where she watched how much he drank. A dinner where she brought up fidelity in modern relationships, citing statistics about cheating that made William's food turn to ash in his mouth. A game night where she insisted on truth or dare, which Kate laughingly vetoed as too juvenile. "I'm just looking out for you," Emma told Kate as she finally prepared to leave. She said it in front of William, her eyes never leaving his face. "You know you can tell me anything, right? Anything at all." Kate hugged her sister, oblivious to the undercurrents. "I know, but everything's fine, I promise." Better than fine. After Emma left, the house felt lighter but also more fragile. Her suspicions had awakened William's paranoia, reminding him that secrets rarely stayed buried forever. He threw himself into being the perfect husband, as if good behavior now could somehow erase past sins. He surprised Kate with flowers every week, each bouquet an unspoken apology. He cooked elaborate dinners, learning her favorite recipes from online videos. He supported her adoption dreams with enthusiasm that was part genuine desire for family and part desperate need to anchor himself to their life together. Kate bloomed under the attention, mistaking guilt for renewed romance. She told friends they were in a second honeymoon phase, that marriage got better with time and commitment. Each happy proclamation felt like another weight on William's conscience. The adoption process began in earnest. Background checks, home studies, interviews with social workers who needed to verify their stability as a couple. William signed forms swearing to his good character, each signature feeling like another link in the chain of lies he was forging. "They'll need references," Kate said, reviewing the paperwork. "Character witnesses who can speak to our marriage." William's throat constricted. Would the investigation uncover his night in Manchester? Were there records somewhere, digital breadcrumbs leading back to room 412? He had paid cash for the room, a decision that now seemed both prescient and damning. Cash meant no credit card trail, but it also suggested premeditation. They submitted the references. Kate's colleagues who praised William's support during her difficult shifts, mutual friends who envied their connection, his brother James who called them relationship goals. Each positive assessment felt like evidence of what he was risking, testimonials to a marriage that existed alongside its own potential destruction. The home study social worker, Mrs. Chun, reminded William uncomfortably of Marcus Chun from the conference. No relation, she assured them when he awkwardly asked, just a common surname. But the coincidence unsettled him, another reminder that the past had ways of intruding on the present. "You have a lovely home," Mrs. Chun observed, taking notes on her tablet. "Very stable environment. How would you describe your communication style as a couple?" Kate launched into a description of their honest, open relationship, built on trust and mutual respect. William nodded along, each word another stone in the wall of deception he was building. Mrs. Chun seemed satisfied, marking positive indicators in whatever rubric determined parental fitness. "Any major conflicts or issues we should know about?" she asked, the question routine, but landing like a punch to William's solar plexus. "Nothing significant," Kate answered. "Normal couple stuff. We work through things together." Mrs. Chun smiled. "That's what we like to hear. Processing conflict healthily is crucial for modeling good behavior for children." The irony wasn't lost on William. Here he was, being evaluated for his ability to raise a child, while harboring a secret that would devastate the very foundation they were building on. What kind of father would he be, teaching honesty while living a lie? As the adoption process progressed, William's guilt transformed into something more complex. The initial sharp panic had dulled into a constant ache, a background radiation of regret that colored everything. He found himself bargaining with the universe, promising to be the best husband and father if only this one mistake could remain buried. Kate created vision boards for their future family, cutting out pictures of happy interracial families from magazines. She had fallen in love with the idea of adopting siblings, keeping brothers or sisters together. Her compassion seemed limitless, extending to children she hadn't even met yet. "I want them to know they're chosen," she explained one evening, arranging photos on poster board. "That we waited for them specifically, that they were always meant to be ours." William watched her work, seeing their future take shape in glossy images. A family built on love and lies, with him as the fault line that could shatter everything. He wondered if children would sense the deception, the way Emma had sensed something off. Would he spend their childhood waiting for questions he couldn't answer honestly? 6 months after the photos, life had settled into a new normal. The adoption agency had approved their initial application, moving them to the matching phase. Kate spent hours on waiting child websites, her heart breaking for each face that needed a home. William sat beside her, offering opinions on age ranges and special needs they could handle, all while feeling like a fraud. Then the email arrived. William was alone in his home office when the notification popped up. The sender was listed as conference documentation, which seemed innocuous enough. But the subject line made his blood freeze. Outstanding balance. Room 412. His hands trembled as he opened it. Instead of a hotel bill, he found a single line of text. Some debts can't be paid with money. Attached was a new photograph, one he had never seen before. It showed him leaving the hotel room the morning after, his clothes disheveled, guilt written across his face. The timestamp showed 6:47 a.m., proof that he had spent the night. This time, the image didn't disappear. It sat in his inbox like an unexploded ordnance, waiting to detonate his life. William stared at it, reliving the shame of that morning. He had crept out while Sarah still slept, hoping to pretend nothing had happened. But cameras had captured his walk of shame, preserving it for future destruction. The email address led nowhere, bouncing back when he tried to respond. Someone was playing a long game, reminding him periodically that his secret wasn't safe. But what did they want? Money would have been simple. This psychological torture served no clear purpose except to make him suffer. William considered hiring a private investigator, but couldn't figure out how to do so without leaving traces Kate might find. He researched cybersecurity firms that might trace the emails, but they all required detailed information about the situation. How could he explain without confessing? The photograph haunted him. Unlike the others, which showed questionable but not conclusive behavior, this one left no room for innocent interpretation. A man leaving a hotel room at dawn, clearly having spent the night, the guilt radiating from his posture. Kate would know instantly what it meant. He password-protected his email, added two-factor authentication, and created elaborate security protocols. But the damage was already done. Someone had this image, probably others, and could deploy them at will. William was living on borrowed time. Kate noticed his renewed anxiety, but attributed it to adoption nerves. "It's normal to feel overwhelmed," she assured him. "We're about to change our lives completely." If only she knew how completely their lives might change. William threw himself into adoption preparation classes, learning about attachment disorders and trauma-informed parenting. He channeled his anxiety into research, becoming an expert on helping children heal from early wounds while unable to heal his own self-inflicted damage. The matching process intensified. They were shown profiles of waiting children, each with a story that broke Kate's heart. She wanted to adopt them all, to create a massive family filled with love and security. William found himself genuinely moved by the children's needs, his desire to be a father competing with his fear of being exposed as a fraud. They were drawn to a sibling pair, Marcus, age 7, and his sister Lily, age 5. The names gave William pause, another Marcus entering his life, but Kate had already fallen in love with their photos. The children had been in foster care for 2 years after being removed from a situation of neglect. They needed stability, honesty, and unconditional love. "Look at their faces," Kate whispered, tracing the computer screen. "They're trying so hard to smile for the camera." William saw what she meant. The children's smiles didn't reach their eyes, which held a wariness too mature for their ages. They had been disappointed by adults before, promised things that didn't materialize. They needed parents who would keep their word. The irony cut deep. These children needed truth, and he was prepared to bring them into a home built partially on deception. But looking at Kate's face, radiant with maternal love for children she hadn't even met, William made a decision. He would bury his secret so deep it would never surface. He would be the father these children needed, the husband Kate deserved, even if it meant living with guilt forever. They submitted their interest in Marcus and Lily, joining who knew how many other families hoping to provide homes. The waiting was excruciating. Kate jumped every time her phone rang, hoping for news. William dreaded calls equally, never knowing if it would be the adoption agency or another reminder of his past. 2 weeks later, they got the call. They had been selected to meet the children, a crucial step in the matching process. Kate cried with joy, immediately planning what to wear, what to bring, how to make the best impression on 2 small humans who had every reason to distrust adults. The meeting was scheduled for the following Saturday at a neutral location, a play center where the children could feel comfortable. William spent the week oscillating between excitement and terror. What if the children sensed his dishonesty? What if this was all an elaborate setup, and the blackmailer would choose this moment to reveal everything? But Saturday arrived without incident. William and Kate drove to the play center in nervous silence, each lost in their own thoughts. The social worker met them in the lobby, offering reassurances and last-minute advice. "Just be yourselves," she said. "Children have amazing instincts for authenticity." The word felt like a dagger in William's chest, but he smiled and nodded. Together, they walked toward the play area where 2 small figures waited with their foster mother. Marcus stood protectively near his sister, his body language suggesting a child who had learned to be guardian as well as sibling. Lily partially hid behind him, peeking out with curious eyes. They were beautiful children, with matching dark hair and solemn expressions that made them look like miniature adults. "Hi," Kate said softly, crouching to their level. "I'm Kate, and this is William. We're very happy to meet you." Marcus studied them with eyes that seemed to catalog every detail. "Are you going to be our new parents?" he asked, his voice carrying a weight no 7-year-old should bear. "We'd like to be," William heard himself say, "if that's okay with you." Something in his tone must have reached the boy, because Marcus's shoulders relaxed slightly. Lily emerged from behind her brother, drawn by Kate's gentle smile and the coloring books she had brought. The next 2 hours passed in a blur of cautious interaction. The children slowly warmed to them, showing them drawings and explaining their favorite games. Marcus mentioned they had been to 3 such meetings before, his matter-of-fact tone suggesting he expected disappointment. "Those families didn't pick us," he explained to William during a moment alone. "Lily was too shy, or I asked too many questions." William's heart broke for this child who had learned to analyze his own rejection. "Questions are good," he told Marcus. "It means you're smart and careful. Those are excellent qualities." Marcus studied him with those 2 wise eyes. "You seem sad," he observed. "Are you okay?" The perception stunned William. This child, dealing with his own trauma, had seen through William's careful facade in minutes. "I'm a little nervous," William admitted. "I want you and Lily to like us." "Why?" Marcus asked, the simple question of a child cutting to the heart of things. William considered his answer carefully. "Because I think we could be a good family together. And families should like each other." Marcus seemed to consider this, then nodded. "Lily likes Kate," he said. "She doesn't usually talk to strangers, but she's showing her drawings. They both looked over at where Kate and Lily were coloring together, the little girl chattering about her favorite colors. The sight filled William with a mixture of hope and fear. This could be their family, if his past didn't destroy it first. The meeting ended with tentative success. The social worker seemed pleased, mentioning next steps and additional meetings. The children waved goodbye, Lily actually smiling, and Marcus offering a small nod that felt like acceptance. In the car afterward, Kate was euphoric. "They're perfect," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Did you see how Marcus protects her?" And Lily, once she opened up, "She's so bright and creative." William agreed, genuinely moved by the children's resilience. They spent the drive home planning renovations to create bedrooms, discussing school districts and pediatricians. For those moments, the future seemed clear and bright, unmarred by secrets. But that night, as Kate slept beside him, peaceful in her joy, William's phone lit up with another email. This one contained no photos, just a simple message: "Beautiful family. Would be a shame if they knew the truth." The threat was explicit now. Someone was watching them, knew about the adoption process, and was prepared to use his secret to destroy not just his marriage, but the chance for 2 children to find a stable home. The cruelty of it took William's breath away. He crept to his office and sat in the dark, weighing his options. Coming clean now would end the adoption process, devastating Kate, and abandoning Marcus and Lily to continue their search for parents. But waiting risked the secret emerging at an even worse moment, perhaps after the children were already in their home. For the first time since the photos arrived, William considered more drastic action. Could he find his blackmailer and stop them? The thought shocked him with its darkness, but desperate people considered desperate measures. He dismissed it immediately, recognizing that he was spiraling into dangerous territory. Instead, he did what he had been doing for months: nothing. He deleted the email, cleared his history, and returned to bed. Kate murmured in her sleep, instinctively curling into him. William held her, wondering how many more nights he had left before everything exploded. The adoption process accelerated. More meetings with Marcus and Lily, each one deepening the connection. The children began to trust them, showing more of their personalities. Marcus was brilliant, but anxious, constantly assessing threats. Lily was creative, but fearful of abandonment, needing constant reassurance that they would return. "They're going to need therapy," the social worker explained. "Attachment issues, some behavioral challenges. Are you prepared for that?" Kate squeezed William's hand. "We're prepared for whatever they need," she said. "Love isn't always easy." The words felt prophetic. Love wasn't easy, especially when shadowed by betrayal. But watching Kate with the children, seeing her natural maternal instincts emerge, William felt his resolve strengthen. He would protect this family, even if it meant living with guilt forever. The final approval came through on a Tuesday afternoon. Kate called William at work, sobbing too hard to speak clearly. He rushed home to find her surrounded by adoption paperwork, official documents that would make them parents. "It's happening," she whispered. "They're going to be ours." William held her as she cried, his own eyes burning with tears that came from too many sources to name. Joy at becoming a father, fear of discovery, guilt over the deception, and love for this woman who had chosen to build a life with him. They had 2 weeks to prepare before Marcus and Lily would move in. Kate threw herself into nesting, creating perfect spaces for each child. Marcus's room became a sanctuary of books and building sets. Lily's exploded in color and art supplies. Every detail was considered, every comfort provided. William helped building furniture and painting walls, each brushstroke feeling like a promise to be better than he had been. He would be the father these children deserved, the husband Kate believed him to be. The past would stay buried through sheer force of will. But secrets like bodies had a way of surfacing. As William tucked in sheets on Marcus's new bed, his phone buzzed with another message. This time, it was a video file. His hands shook as he opened it, finding footage from the hotel security camera. Grainy but clear enough, it showed him and Sarah entering room 412, the timestamp damning in its precision. The noose was tightening. Someone had access to security footage, suggesting either hotel connections or serious hacking skills. The escalation from photos to video felt intentional, each revelation worse than the last. William sat on Marcus's bed, surrounded by the trappings of impending fatherhood, and faced the truth. He couldn't bring children into this situation without resolving it. The secret was too volatile, the blackmailer too persistent. But how could he protect his family from a ghost he couldn't identify? A sound from the doorway made him look up. Kate stood there, her face glowing with happiness. "It looks perfect," she said, surveying the room. "Marcus is going to love it." "Kate," William began, the confession rising in his throat. But she had already moved on, chattering about car seats and school registration. The moment passed, and with it, another chance at honesty. 2 weeks flew by in preparation and dread. William received no more messages, the silence somehow more ominous than threats. He installed security cameras around their house, telling Kate it was for the children's safety. He monitored his devices obsessively, looking for signs of intrusion. The day Marcus and Lily arrived was surreal. 2 small humans with garbage bags of possessions, their entire lives portable and transient. Kate knelt to their level, welcoming them home. Marcus maintained his protective stance, but Lily ran to Kate, allowing herself to be lifted and held. "Welcome home," William said, the words feeling both true and false. This was their home now, but built on a foundation with hidden cracks. Marcus studied the house with careful eyes, memorizing exits and assessing safety. William recognized the hypervigilance of a child who had learned not to trust stability. He wanted to promise the boy that this was permanent, that they would never have to leave. But promises felt dangerous when secrets could shatter them. That first night, after tucking in 2 exhausted children, William and Kate sat on their couch in wonder. They were parents now, responsible for healing small hearts while William's own heart harbored potentially destructive secrets. "We did it," Kate whispered, her head on his shoulder. "We're a family." William kissed her forehead, tasting the salt of happy tears. "Yes," he agreed. "We're a family." In Marcus's room, the boy lay awake despite his exhaustion. Old habits died hard, and first nights in new places meant vigilance. He heard his new parents talking softly, felt the house settle around him. It seemed safe, but he had thought that before. In Lily's room, the little girl clutched a stuffed animal Kate had given her. She whispered to it in the dark, sharing secrets and wishes. Maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time they could stay. And in the master bedroom, William lay awake between his sleeping wife and his buzzing phone. Another email had arrived, this one with a subject line that made his blood run cold. "Time's up." The message inside was brief. "Tomorrow, noon. Everything goes to Kate unless you transfer $50,000 to this account." Finally, a demand. Not exposure for its own sake, but old-fashioned blackmail. The relief of having a concrete problem almost outweighed the terror of the deadline. Money could be found, borrowed, stolen if necessary. But paying wouldn't guarantee silence, only by temporary reprieve. William had less than 12 hours to decide. Pay and hope, or confess and face the consequences. Either way, tomorrow would bring a reckoning. The family they had just created would face its first real test before the children had even unpacked. He looked at the ceiling, seeing not plaster but the weight of his choices pressing down. In 2 other rooms, children slept fitfully, hoping they had finally found home. In bed beside him, Kate dreamed of the future they were building. And William lay between them all, the secret that could destroy everything pulsing like a heartbeat in the dark. The morning arrived with deceptive normalcy. Lily's laughter echoed from the kitchen as Kate helped her pour cereal, the simple domesticity a stark contrast to the chaos in William's mind. He had spent the night calculating, planning, and ultimately deciding. He would pay, not because it would solve everything, but because it would buy time. Time for the children to settle in, time to figure out who was behind this, time to perhaps find a way out that didn't destroy everything. William's emergency fund held $30,000, saved over years for house repairs and unexpected expenses. He could liquidate some investments for another $15,000 without Kate noticing immediately. The remaining $5,000 would have to come from a credit card cash advance, a desperate move that would show up on statements he usually shared with Kate. "Daddy William, do you want toast?" Lily's voice startled him from his calculations. She stood in the doorway, still in the unicorn pajamas Kate had bought her, holding a piece of bread like an offering. The word daddy hit him like a physical blow. These children had decided to trust them, to try once more to believe in permanence. How could he risk shattering that fragile faith? "That's very kind of you, Lily," he managed, his voice rough with emotion. "I would love some toast." She beamed and ran back to the kitchen, where Kate was helping Marcus with his breakfast. The boy ate methodically, still watching everything with those careful eyes. He had taken to calling them Kate and William, not yet ready for parental titles. William understood the caution all too well. "I need to run some errands this morning," William announced, trying to sound casual. "Banking stuff, boring adult things." Kate looked up from buttering Lily's toast. "Today, I thought we were going to take the kids to the park, let them explore the neighborhood." "You go ahead," William said, kissing her cheek to avoid her eyes. "I'll meet you there. This won't take long." Marcus watched the exchange with interest. "Are you in trouble?" he asked, the question startlingly direct. William's heart stopped. "No. Why would you think that?" The boy shrugged. "You look like my old foster dad did when the social workers called about complaints." "Worried?" Kate laughed, ruffling Marcus's hair. "William just doesn't like dealing with banks. He gets nervous about money stuff. If only it were that simple." William excused himself, gathering the necessary documents for his financial destruction. Each withdrawal would leave a trail, but he had no choice. The noon deadline loomed like a guillotine. The bank teller didn't question the large cash withdrawal, though she did suggest he consider a cashier's check for safety. William declined, stuffing $100 bills into an envelope that felt heavier than its physical weight. The investment liquidation would take a day to process, so he maxed out the cash advance on his credit card, wincing at the immediate interest charges. By 11:30, he sat in his car with $45,000 in cash, still short but hoping it would be enough to buy silence, at least temporarily. The pickup instructions had been specific: a garbage bin in a park across town, the money in a black gym bag, no surveillance, come alone. William drove carefully, aware that he was transporting more cash than he had ever held. Every red light felt like an opportunity for disaster. What if he was robbed? What if the police stopped him? How would he explain $45,000 in cash without revealing everything? The park was nearly empty at noon on a weekday. William parked and walked to the specified bin, the gym bag burning in his hand. He could still turn back, call Kate, confess everything. But the image of Marcus's careful eyes and Lily's trusting smile kept him moving forward. The garbage bin stood near a playground where a few toddlers played under their mother's watchful eyes. William felt like a criminal as he approached, certain everyone could see his guilt. He lifted the lid, placed the bag inside, and walked away without looking back. His phone buzzed before he reached his car. "Short $5,000. You have 1 hour to complete the payment or everything goes to Kate." William's hands shook as he typed back. "That's all I could get without her knowing. Please." The response came quickly. 1 hour. William sat in his car, mind racing. $5,000 might as well be $5 million. He had exhausted every resource that wouldn't immediately alert Kate. Unless James. His brother had mentioned a bonus at work, joking about finally being able to afford a decent vacation. William had never asked James for money, their relationship built on mutual independence. But what choice did he have? The call was agony. "James, I need a favor. A big one." "What's wrong?" His brother's voice immediately shifted to concern. "Is Kate okay?" "The kids. Everyone's fine. I need $5,000. Today." "I can't explain why." The silence stretched painfully. "William, what have you done?" "I can't tell you." "Please, James. I've never asked for anything. I'll pay you back, with interest. Just please." William could hear his brother's breathing, the mental calculations. James had always been the responsible one, the one who made smart choices. Now William was asking him to enable a terrible one. This isn't drugs, is it? Gambling? No, nothing like that. It's complicated. But if I don't get this money today, I could lose everything. Another pause. I'll transfer it now. But, William, whatever this is, you need to fix it. Secrets have a way of destroying families. The irony of the advice wasn't lost on William as he watched $5,000 appear in his account. He withdrew it immediately, returning to the park with minutes to spare. This time, the bin already contained his first bag. He added the additional cash and fled. The confirmation came as he drove home. Payment received. Your secret is safe for now. Don't contact us. We'll be in touch. For now. The words echoed as William tried to compose himself before facing his family. His secret was safe for now, but he had just made himself vulnerable to ongoing extortion. The $50,000 wouldn't be the end. It never was with blackmailers. He found Kate and the children at the neighborhood park as promised. Lily ran to him immediately, grabbing his hand to show him the slide she had conquered. Marcus hung back, but offered a small smile when William complimented his climbing skills. Kate watched them all with pure joy, unaware that their family's foundation had just developed another crack. Everything handled? She asked when he reached her. All taken care of, William lied, the words ash in his mouth. They spent the afternoon playing, looking like any other family enjoying a sunny day. William pushed Lily on the swings, her squeals of delight temporarily drowning out his guilt. He played catch with Marcus, the boy's throws surprisingly accurate for his age. Kate took photos on her phone, capturing moments that would later seem either precious or painfully ironic, depending on how the future unfolded. That evening, as they prepared dinner together, the domesticity felt both foreign and achingly desired. Marcus helped set the table with military precision, while Lily-colored placemats she insisted they needed. Kate moved between them all, orchestrating chaos into something resembling family dinner. Can we do this every night? Lily asked as they sat down to spaghetti and meatballs. Every night, Kate promised, catching William's eye over the children's heads. We're a forever family now. Forever. The word had once felt like a promise. Now it felt like a question William couldn't answer. After the children were asleep, exhausted from their first full day in their new life, Kate curled against William on the couch. They're adjusting so well, she whispered. Marcus even laughed during the tickle fight. I didn't think I'd hear that so soon. William held her closer, memorizing the feeling. You're amazing with them. They already love you. They love you too, Kate said. Lily called you daddy. That's huge for a child with attachment issues. The weight of that trust pressed down on William. These children had given him a title he might not deserve, a role he might fail to fulfill if his past caught up. But for tonight, in the quiet of their home, he let himself believe in the possibility of redemption through future good acts. Days turned into weeks with no word from the blackmailer. William began to hope the payment had bought more than temporary silence. He threw himself into fatherhood, attending every school meeting, every therapy appointment, every small moment that built trust with traumatized children. Marcus slowly opened up, revealing a sharp intellect and wicked sense of humor. He excelled in school, but struggled with anxiety, constantly preparing for the moment when this new stability would end. William recognized himself in the boys' hypervigilance, both of them waiting for axes to fall. Why do you check your phone so much? Marcus asked one evening as they built a complex Lego structure together. William's hand froze on the pieces. What do you mean? You look at it like you're scared of it, like it might bite you. The perception was uncanny. William set his phone aside, giving Marcus his full attention. Sometimes adults have worries that make us act silly. But you don't need to worry about that, okay? Your job is just to be a kid. Marcus studied him with those two knowing eyes. My therapist says secrets can make people sick, that it's better to tell someone when something's wrong. The irony of receiving wisdom from a 7-year-old wasn't lost on William. That's very true, he agreed. Your therapist sounds smart. She is, Marcus said, returning to the Legos. Maybe you should talk to someone too, about whatever makes you check your phone. William promised to think about it, knowing he couldn't follow through. What therapist could he tell about blackmail and infidelity without destroying everything? But Marcus's concern touched him deeply. This child, despite his own trauma, had space to worry about others. It spoke to a generous spirit that deserved better than a father living in fear. Lily flourished under Kate's nurturing, her artistic talents emerging more each day. She covered the refrigerator with drawings of their family, always including their cats, which they didn't have, but she desperately wanted, and a son with a smiley face. Her nightmares decreased, though she still sometimes appeared at their bedside at 3 a.m., needing reassurance that they hadn't disappeared. "Can I sleep with you?" she would whisper, and they would make room for her small form between them, another heart beating in the space where secrets lived. Kate managed it all with grace that seemed superhuman. She coordinated therapy schedules, school activities, and medical appointments while maintaining her own nursing career. She never complained about the challenges, seeing only the progress. When Marcus had a meltdown over a changed routine, she weathered it with patience. When Lily regressed to baby talk during stress, she responded with gentle understanding. "How are you so good at this?" William asked one night after a particularly difficult day. "Because they're worth it," Kate said simply. "And so are we. Our family is worth fighting for." The words cut deep. Their family was worth fighting for, which made William's secret even more poisonous. Every day that passed without confession made the eventual revelation worse. But every day also bound them closer together, raising the stakes of disclosure. William's phone remained ominously quiet. No demands, no threats, just silence that felt like a hell breath. He began to research the blackmailer more seriously, using skills learned from corporate espionage prevention. The email addresses led nowhere, routed through anonymous servers. The bank account for the payment belonged to a shell company registered offshore. Professional work that suggested this wasn't a crime of opportunity, but something more calculated. He revisited the conference attendee list, digging deeper into backgrounds. Marcus Chun, the photographer, had left the industry shortly after the event. His website was defunct, his social media abandoned. It felt significant, but could mean anything. People change careers all the time. Sarah Mitchell remained in Scotland, her social media showing a happy life with her new husband. She posted about hiking in the Highlands, dinner parties with new friends, the life she had built far from Manchester hotels. William studied her photos for signs of guilt or knowledge, but found only a woman who had moved on. The adoption finalized on a rainy Thursday. William and Kate stood before a judge with Marcus and Lily, making legal what their hearts had already decided. The children wore their best clothes, Marcus in a bow tie he had insisted on, and Lily in a dress she had helped pick out. "Do you understand what's happening today?" the judge asked the children gently. "We're getting adopted," Lily announced proudly. "Kate and William are going to be our parents forever and ever." "Is that what you want?" the judge asked. Both children nodded solemnly. Marcus reached for William's hand, the gesture unexpected and precious. "We want to stay," he said quietly. "They're good parents." The judge smiled and signed the papers that transformed them from foster placement to a legal family. Kate cried openly. William felt tears on his own cheeks, emotion overwhelming his usual control. Even Marcus's eyes were suspiciously wet, though he wiped them quickly. They celebrated at the children's favorite restaurant, a pizza place with arcade games. Lily wore a plastic tiara Kate had brought, declaring herself a princess now that she had a real family. Marcus challenged William to air hockey, their competition fierce but friendly. "We should get a picture," Kate suggested, flagging down a server. They crowded together in the booth, Kate and William on the outside with the children between them. The server counted down, and they smiled. The camera captured a moment of pure happiness, a family complete, unaware that shadows lurked outside the frame. That night, after the children were asleep, clutching new stuffed animals bought to commemorate the day, Kate and William sat in their living room looking at the adoption papers. Official seals and signatures that made them parents in the eyes of the law. "I never thought I could be this happy," Kate whispered. "Thank you for going on this journey with me." William pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. "Thank you for being the kind of person who opens her heart to children who need love. You made us all better. It was true. Kate's goodness had created this family, had given two hurt children a chance at healing. William's secret felt like a cancer in something otherwise pure, a darkness waiting to metastasize and destroy healthy tissue. His phone buzzed. After weeks of silence, the sound made his heart skip. But it was only James, congratulating them on the adoption. William had repaid the loan, but hadn't explained what it was for. His brother had accepted the money and the silence, though questions lingered in their interactions. 2 days later, the real message came. William was at work when the email arrived, the sender showing as family photos. His hand trembled as he opened it in his locked office. Congratulations on the adoption. Beautiful family. The children look happy. It would be tragic if something ruined that happiness. $25,000 by Friday, or Kate receives everything, including video footage. Same process as before. The blood drained from William's face. He had known this would happen, that blackmailers never stopped with one payment. But the timing felt specifically cruel, targeting the joy of their adoption. Worse, the demand acknowledged the children, making them pawns in this terrible game. $25,000. He had nothing left to liquidate without Kate noticing. His credit was maxed out from the last payment. James wouldn't lend more without explanation. The walls were closing in. William spent the rest of the day in a haze, mechanically working through meetings while his mind raced. He could rob a bank, flee the country, fake his own death, each option more desperate and impossible than the last. The rational solution was confession, but looking at the photo on his desk, their new family portrait from adoption day, he couldn't imagine speaking the words that would shatter those smiles. He arrived home to find Marcus helping Kate with dinner while Lily set the table with her usual artistic flair. The domestic scene felt like a rebuke to his turmoil. Here was the life he had built and was about to lose. Daddy William. Lily ran to him, wrapping her arms around his legs. Marcus taught me to fold napkins like triangles. Come see. He let himself be led to the table, admiring her handiwork while his phone burned in his pocket. The deadline loomed. Friday, 3 days away. 3 days to find money that didn't exist or courage he couldn't summon. You okay? Kate asked quietly while the children were distracted. You look pale. Just a headache, he lied. Work's been stressful. She kissed his forehead, checking for fever with practiced nursing skills. Maybe take tomorrow off. We could all do something together, celebrate being official. The suggestion felt like a lifeline and a torture. Time with his family, storing up memories before everything exploded. That sounds perfect, he agreed, already knowing tomorrow would be spent desperately seeking money. That night, William lay awake planning. He would try for a personal loan, though his recent credit activity would likely trigger rejection. He could sell his car, though that would only bring perhaps $15,000 and require explanation. He could steal from his company, though that would add criminal charges to his eventual downfall. Each option led to the same conclusion. He was out of money and time. The blackmailer had played perfectly, waiting until he was financially drained and emotionally invested to strike again. The adoption had raised the stakes impossibly high. In her sleep, Kate murmured and reached for him. He held her, memorizing the feeling, the trust implicit in her unconscious seeking of comfort. Down the hall, 2 children slept in beds he had assembled, in rooms he had painted, in a home built on love and lies. Thursday arrived with no solution. William called in sick as promised, but spent the day in increasingly desperate attempts to raise money. Loan applications were rejected instantly. His car's value was less than estimated. He even researched selling a kidney on the black market before realizing the absurdity of his spiral. By evening, he had managed to gather $8,000 through credit card juggling and selling electronics. It wasn't nearly enough. The blackmailer had been clear, full payment or full disclosure. He found his family in the backyard, Kate pushing Lily on the swing they had installed while Marcus read in the shade. The scene was idyllic, a poster for happy adoptive families. William took mental photographs, knowing these might be the last peaceful moments. Feeling better? Kate asked, noting his arrival. A little, he said, sitting beside Marcus. "What are you reading?" "Harry Potter," the boy replied. It's about a kid who finds out his whole life was different than he thought. The parallel wasn't lost on William. Soon his children would discover their father was different than they thought, that the safety he promised was built on deception. "Do you like it?" William asked. "Yeah. Even though bad things happen, he has people who really love him. That makes him strong enough to face stuff." Wisdom from children's literature, filtered through a 7-year-old's perspective. William wanted to believe love could overcome his failures, but some betrayals cut too deep for healing. That night, after stories and tucking in, William sat at his computer, drafting an email to the blackmailer. He begged for more time, offered payment plans, promised future compliance. The words felt pathetic even as he typed them, a condemned man bargaining with his executioner. He sent the message and waited. The response came within minutes. "Full payment by noon tomorrow, or Kate receives everything. No extensions. No negociations." William stared at the screen until the words blurred. He was out of options, out of time, out of miracles. Tomorrow, one way or another, his secret would surface. The only choice left was how. He could confess tonight, controlling the narrative. But, looking at the clock, 11 p.m., he couldn't bring himself to wake Kate for destruction. Let her sleep peacefully one more night. Let the children wake to stability one more morning. William moved through the house like a ghost, touching objects that would soon belong to a broken home. The growth chart where they had started marking the children's heights. The refrigerator covered in Lily's art. The Lego city Marcus had built on the coffee table. Evidence of a life that had been real, even if built on false foundations. He paused at each child's door, watching them sleep. Marcus had kicked off his covers, one arm flung above his head in unconscious freedom. William tucked him back in, smoothing hair from his forehead. The boy stirred but didn't wake, trusting in his safety. Lily slept curled around the stuffed elephant they had given her on adoption day. She had named it Ellie and declared it magic, able to keep bad dreams away. William wished stuffed animals could guard against real-life nightmares. Finally, he stood at his own bedroom door, watching Kate sleep. 7 years of marriage, 6 months of parenthood, a lifetime of dreams about to shatter. He had failed her in Manchester, failed her by hiding it, failed her by paying blackmail instead of trusting their love. Tomorrow would bring reckoning. The blackmailer would send everything, and Kate would know. The children would learn that safety was an illusion, that adults who promised forever could harbor secrets that destroyed everything. But tonight, for these last hours, his family slept peacefully in the home he had built for them. William sat vigil in the living room, guarding their dreams even as he counted down to morning. The secret that had poisoned everything would soon be exposed, and he would face the consequences of choices made in a Manchester hotel. The clock ticked toward dawn, each second bringing him closer to the moment when the images would surface, when Kate would see them, when everything would change. William had run out of money, out of schemes, out of time. All that remained was to wait for impact and hope something could be salvaged from the wreckage. In the distance, a siren wailed, someone else's emergency racing through the night. Soon enough, his own catastrophe would arrive with the simple ping of an email. Photos that would speak louder than any confession, proof that would shatter the carefully constructed life where children called him daddy, and a good woman trusted him with her heart. Dawn arrived with cruel beauty, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold that mocked William's despair. He hadn't slept, couldn't eat, could barely breathe as noon approached with mechanical certainty. In 6 hours, his world would end. He made breakfast on autopilot, scrambling eggs the way Marcus liked them, and cutting Lily's toast into triangles. Normal morning sounds filled the kitchen as his family woke and gathered. Kate hummed while making coffee. The children chattered about school. Life continued its rhythm, unaware of the countdown. "You still look pale," Kate observed, pressing her hand to his forehead again. "Maybe you should see a doctor." "I'm fine," William lied, the words automatic now. He had become an expert at deception, each lie building the wall higher between them. Marcus watched him with those perceptive eyes. "My therapist says people get sick from keeping feelings inside. Like emotional constipation." Lily giggled at the word while Kate tried to hide her smile. That's an interesting way to put it, she said. But he's right. It's important to share when something's bothering you. William forced himself to smile. I'll remember that. Now he'll want to walk to school today instead of driving. The distraction worked, launching a discussion about whether they could stop for hot chocolate on the way. William agreed to everything, knowing these might be his last moments of normal fatherhood. He wanted to give them one more perfect morning. The walk to school was bittersweet torture. Lily held his hand, skipping and pointing out interesting clouds. Marcus walked slightly ahead, independent, but still checking to make sure they followed. Other parents nodded in recognition, accepting them as part of the community. William wondered how quickly that would change when the truth emerged. At the school gates, Lily hugged him fiercely. "Love you, Daddy William." "Love you too, Princess." He managed through the tightness in his throat. Marcus offered a fist bump, too cool for public affection, but his eyes warm. "See you after school?" "Of course," William promised, hoping it wasn't another lie. Walking home with Kate, her hand in his felt like a funeral march. She talked about her shift, a difficult case with a happy ending, a child who would make a full recovery. William tried to focus on her words, storing the sound of her voice for the loneliness ahead. "I'm thinking we should plan a family vacation," Kate said as they reached home. "Somewhere special to celebrate the adoption. Maybe Disney." "That sounds wonderful," William agreed, knowing they would never make that trip. In 3 hours, she would know everything. The pictures, the video, the months of deception. Every happy plan would crumble into ash. Kate left for her shift with a kiss and a promise to bring home ice cream for dessert. William stood at the window, watching her drive away, memorizing the way she checked her mirrors and adjusted the radio. Such ordinary actions that he might never see again. Alone in the house, he considered his options one final time. He could run, disappear before the emails arrived. But that would traumatize the children worse than the truth. He could try one more desperate plea to the blackmailer. But he knew that well was dry. He could confess preemptively, at least controlling how Kate learned the truth. But his courage failed him still.